The other day, my hubby and I were talking about how it's a little strange to be in our 40s since it feels like just yesterday our parents were in their 40s. When my parents were my age, it felt like they were so old. And now that I'm in my mid 40s, the reality is I'm actually not old, even though at times it may feel like it. This season in life can be a bit tricky to navigate with hormonal and life changes that can be a little frustrating and confusing. The great news is we have a choice to fall into the midlife victim mentality or recognize the opportunities to make changes and embrace this season of life. So, today I'll dive into how you can take these opportunities and run with them to improve your health and maybe even become the healthiest version you've ever been in your life. When I ask women in their 40s and 50s what their health and wellness goals are, it's actually centered around overall health. Most women in midlife no longer have the unrealistic goal to be super skinny. Some women do want to lose weight, but they want to lean up for health reasons and not aesthetic. This type of weight loss goal is absolutely realistic and totally doable. We all have an ideal body weight where our body is happy, healthy, and thriving. One huge benefit of aging is most people, not all, become wiser as they age. Now, I know I'm definitely wiser than I was in my 20s and 30s. I'm more self aware of areas in my life that can be improved and more open to honest feedback. In my younger years, I took a lot of feedback personally, even though I know it didn't reflect on who I was as a person. Nowadays, I'm always asking for feedback from my clients and community, and I will occasionally take it personally depending on what kind of mood I'm in. But for the most part, I enjoy getting feedback because it gives me ideas on how to improve my programs to help my clients on a deeper level. The same can be said for health and wellness habits. Midlife is an ideal time to reflect on what you've learned over the past several decades in regards to nutrition, fitness, and rest. So you can become more self aware of your choices. With your hormones fluctuating more frequently than before, it can be a bit more challenging to dial in a nutrition and fitness strategy that works for you. Okay, so we all make choices based on logic or emotion, and sometimes a little bit of both. When you reach for the cookies, this choice is probably based on your emotions and not so much logic. You're most likely fully aware there's little to no nutritional value in a cookie. Okay, so just to be clear, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes we need to give in to our cravings and eat that comfort food. It's not about eating nutrient dense foods all the time. The key to success with sustainable habits is to be able to recognize the difference between emotional and logical choices. If you've spent your entire life differentiating them between good and bad foods and still struggle with this will be a game changer for you. When you stop labeling foods as if there were super strict rules with what you can and can't eat, you feel this sense of freedom that you've never felt before. You just eat foods based on what your body needs, including the occasional indulgences. Now, there is a little skill behind this on self awareness that you can master that I'll talk about today. If this is a new concept to you, you're on your way to creating a new nutrition strategy, which this is actually a very exciting change that just might be exactly what you need if what worked for you in the past to build muscle or lose weight isn't working for you any longer. Okay, so let's dive in how to become self aware with your nutrition strategy. If you're ready, if you're already self aware, diving deeper into your awareness can help you take your nutrition habits to the next level. So I'll start by sharing four simple questions you can ask yourself to raise awareness when you want to eat a specific food. I'll use an example of eating microwave popcorn since this has been an indulgence for me lately. Okay, the first question you can ask yourself is, what am I thinking right now? Now, when I eat popcorn, I'm usually thinking about how movies and popcorn go together, but not just any movie. It's usually when we're watching a movie in a theater, with the big screen and the surround sound. When I'm at home, curled up in bed watching a movie, popcorn doesn't even cross my mind. In my mind, it's the experience of watching a movie on the big screen with the surround sound. Okay, the next question to ask yourself is, how am I feeling right now? There was a day in the last few months when I was actually craving carbs because I was PMSing, which is normal, by the way, which you probably already know. And I simply wanted comfort food. Since I connect movie theaters to popcorn, that's what I gravitated towards based on how I was feeling. I was satisfying my body's need for carbs and my emotions. Okay, the next question is to ask yourself is, how am I behaving right now? When I was eating popcorn, I was enjoying a relaxing afternoon with my hubby, disconnecting from reality for a few hours. Now, when I'm in relaxation mode, I don't worry about what I'm eating or drinking or how it's going to affect me. I just do what feels right in the moment to help me relax. Okay, the last question you can ask yourself is, what's logical about eating this food? This may sound like a strange one, but just hear me out with it. So, I know popcorn has very little, if any, nutrients that's going to help me build lean muscle mass, sleep better, and improve my overall health. I'm fully aware of that. There are no logical health benefits to eating popcorn with butter and salt on it, other than the fact that it made me happy in the moment. I love just the crunch with the salty, buttery flavor. After I indulged, I actually didn't feel any guilt for eating popcorn. In fact, I actually felt like I had satisfied both an emotional and physical craving, and I was very self aware of the food that I was putting in my body and why I was eating it. I didn't label it as good or bad food. It was just food that I gave myself permission to eat, sans the guilt. I did go on to eat a nutritious home cooked meal for dinner at the end of my popcorn and movie days. Now, just to be clear, years ago, I would have been really hard on myself for eating a quote unquote bad food that has very little nutritional value. I even may have said that I was behaving badly for eating it. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because you probably said it yourself. Quote, I'm just going to be bad today and eat whatever I want. Now, when we label our eating behavior as good or bad, it sends a message to ourselves that we are good or bad as a person. This sends us down the rabbit hole of, I'm not good enough to be healthy. When we fall into this mindset, we tend to lean towards behaviors that don't support our healthy habit intentions because we're not good enough to be healthy, anyways. So, your eating behaviors are not a reflection of who you are as a woman or your ability to create sustainable nutrition and fitness habits. When you remain neutral with your food, exercise, and rest choices and are fully aware of why you're making these choices, you actually find a groove with your lifestyle habits. And you'll instinctively know when to indulge in treats and when to focus on the nutrient dense foods. Now, mastering all this takes time and a lot of focus and a lot of patience. And you have the willpower to make this happen. So, next time you eat a meal, ask yourself these four questions so you can get a sense of how self aware you are of the rationale behind your food choices.